What's up, business besties?
We're back on our business.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to our podcast, Back on My Business. Wait, I really think we should talk about, before we get into today, like, it took us a while to come up with a name. Or did we already talk about this?
No, we didn't. We didn't talk about the name.
We literally came up with it like the day that we started the podcast.
Yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we've been grinding, guys. But
yeah, no, we did. It took us a while to come up with the name, but we knew it was just going to come to us organically.
You actually came up with it. Props to you.
Yeah, I think I was like making breakfast and just like,
back.
I was like, yeah, back on my business.
I love it. So hopefully
very on brand for us. So.
Yeah. But guys, this is just a podcast where, we share our experiences in business, things that we've learned. We literally just want to serve you guys, help you guys. So if you're still tuning in, we really appreciate all of your support and your love. And, we want to hear what you guys want to hear from us. So please DM us, message us. You'll be hearing directly from us. We're just here to help you guys. But my name's Jessie Holland.
And I'm Alex Morales.
If you're new here, welcome. And today
we're diving into all about consistency, building the right habits, discipline, and just really setting yourself up to
succeed. So today, guys, we really want to talk about consistency, working hard, because when you start in business, your first 90 days, your first 6 months are the most important, because that is where you're learning everything. Like, I always share this. When you go to college, you get a degree and you want to go be like a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, a police officer. It takes years to develop and learn the skill set. And then you have to get the job and you have to learn all about the job. So same thing with sales, guys. Like, again, there's no get rich quick thing out there. Everything requires work ethic and learning. So when you're new, you have to work the hardest. I always say, like, when you're in business for yourself, the clock does not exist. You're not clocking in, you're not clocking out for yourself.
Yeah.
You put forth the hours that are required to build your business. And I think when a lot of people come into business that are new, they're still working as if they have the work ethic of a 9-to-5 person, which is fine. It's a little bit of like a culture shock transitioning.
100%.
So just know, when you're new, you're required to show up a lot more, which is beautiful though, because the faster you can get through that learning curve, you can get to a point where your business is like autopilot. Like, I love to share this. I've now been in this business for 7 years, and it's to the point where I've developed the skill set so well that I just show up. I'll literally do like a sales presentation, and at the end I'm like, what just happened? Like, I just like black out. But that took hours and hours and hours of starting out. So
yeah, it's so true though. Like what you just said about kind of rewiring your brain to get out of that 9-to-5 mindset, which I came from a 9-to-5. So I know what that's like to kind of just go through the motions, but how you're going to get through that and how you're going to get through your first 90 days, it's going to take consistency. And just like literally anything in life, whether it's sports, working out, you're going after anything, you're going to get there by being consistent. So I know, again, I started from a 9-to-5, which I was a consistently hard worker for that too, but it didn't allow me to really like be intentional with how I was being consistent, because when you're not challenging yourself and you're not being in a position where you're forced to grow, you can be consistently average. Like, you can just go through the motions, and that's one of the most damaging things you could do, because something that I found even when I started to go into business for myself is I caught myself being consistent, but was I being consistent on the right things? Was I being intentional with it?
Yeah.
And I love that you brought up your first 90 days is so crucial, and that's when you really need to build the habits, and habits are created from consistency.
Yeah, like those first 90 days, don't have any vacations planned. Like, you should be full force on learning the new skill set that you're trying to do,
And when you're in business for yourself, like, it really is a lifestyle. It's not a job. And I see so many people make the leap, go into the business for themselves and they have that mindset like, this is a job. I don't want to do this. I don't want to show up. But it's a lifestyle. Like, your success is going to be determined on how you show up for yourself, how you take ownership for your business. So I think it's really a beautiful thing, like you said, because as long as you're fully focused on growing yourself, like, you're going to succeed.
Absolutely.
But being consistent, it's hard. Like, how did you, because I know it was an adjustment for me, like going commission only, where no one's holding my hand, no one's forcing me to show up. Like, I have to take ownership and be the one who's showing up every single day to better myself. How did that look for you? Was that something you taught yourself? Did you lean on other people?
Yeah, so this goes back to like my biggest breakthrough in my business was kind of when I was at my lowest. Like, I had shared, I couldn't pay my bills. I was literally about to quit and go find something else to do. But I gave it one last shot, and I knew what I was doing prior wasn't giving me the results. So I needed to change something. And, we went on a road trip, and in that road trip, I was the first person to leave, like 7, 8. And guys, this is when I was door knocking, calling, like I was on the road for work to make sales. I was the first person to leave the house, the last one to come home. And instead of after, like partying or going out with the squad, like I stayed back. I read my script. I mastered my script. I was focusing on getting better. And when I was in the field, I was so dialed and intentional with my time. Instead of scrolling through maybe Instagram or Facebook, I was calling. I was listening to my presentation over and over again to try and improve. And with that week, I had a huge breakthrough, right? I made $6,000. I was like maybe a month or two in a week. And all I did was copy and paste what I did that week. I was like, okay, this is the recipe. This is what I need to do. And I carried it over. And just through time, I naturally got better with the flow. So my time wasn't fully spent doing those things. I was able to now focus on learning other skills, objections, rebuttals, things like that.
Okay, so I'm going to go back on that because I know you said when you had your first breakthrough, which was followed by probably like you hitting rock bottom, I think you were mentioning like literally going like 0 for 22, where as a 22-year-old, I'd probably would have cried and went home and you were door knocking, still cried, but still showed up next day. But you were at rock bottom, and then instead of giving up, you literally had your breakthrough right after that, which, by the way, that's how it always is. You always have your breakthrough when your back is against a wall and you have nowhere to go but up.
Right.
But when you had that breakthrough, was it something you switched? Was it something you did differently? Or do you think it was just the consistency you've been putting in finally paying off?
I think it was both, because prior to that, I was putting forth effort, but I wasn't all in effort. So when your back's up against the wall, you show up different. And that's exactly what happened. I actually applied myself to 100% every single day. And with that, I saw results, and I was like, oh, if that's all I have to do, I just need to keep doing that. So it's a learning curve at first. You're like, well, I should spend time on this, this, and this. I just learned where to put my time to be more efficient to get the best results.
And when you were going through that, was it more so like, okay, today I need a paycheck, today I need a paycheck? Or were you like, okay, no, I need to build my skill set brick by brick, and that paycheck's going to come when I have that skill set? Because I see it, and I see it was me. I would do this. I would show up some days and be consistent. I was working a full day, but then it's like, okay, 9 p.m., 10 p.m. comes around. I'm logging off. I did what I need to do. But I think the second I like switched my mind, we're like, no, I'm not logging off until I hit what I need to hit. Because it's so easy to just go through motions and like check off, well, I hit my dials today. I had my presentations. I made the sale. But when you switch to like, okay, no, I have these goals and I'm not logging off until I get them. That's how you really build like the strong, consistent habits, which you've taught me, because you, like when you trained me, you would always be like, my goal is X amount of money today or X amount of sales. And you were someone who just would never log off until you hit that.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, I'm like, that's how I need to operate.
Yeah. So it's one thing to show up. It's another thing to show up with intention. So if I have, like, for me, I need daily goals to keep me super fired up and excited. If I'm like, I'll wake up tomorrow, whatever happens, just let the day control me, I'm not going to get the results. But if I show up, I got to do this, this number I need to hit with full intention, I'm going to have more results. So I love talking about scheduling. I really want to dive into creating a successful schedule, because I don't know if you know that, like, every successful person I know has their time stamped day by day, what they're doing. So for me, guys, I don't know if you want to take notes on this, but when it comes to me scheduling out my week, I always prioritize myself first. Where is Jessie going to spend time with herself? So for me, that's the mornings. Like, I like to go to the gym, read a book, a podcast, spend alone time. I like to clean. Like, I like to do little things like that to pour into myself. And then after that, I schedule in family time. So when are you going to spend time with your family? And then the rest I fill with business. Because Alex, I want you to share this story. You came into the business and you were just business focused. You were neglecting taking care of you. Like, how did you feel during that? Why was the schedule in place so important for your success?
Yeah. So I think one misconception is that when you're going into business yourself, like, you can't just be consistent on the business. You have, because it is your life. Like, you're building your business, you're building yourself, your brand. You need to be consistent in all aspects of your life. And when I first started, I was work. Like, I started, and for my first 8 months in the business, I was just grinding. I would wake up and get to work, and then late nights still working and do it again. And yeah, you need to be putting in that work, but I was feeling burnt out and just like not happy. I felt so accomplished with the business side of things and how I was operating that side, but then I wasn't filling my cup on my mind, body, and spirit. Yeah. I didn't go to the gym my first 8 months in the business. I didn't pour into myself at all. I wasn't reading books. I wasn't listening to podcasts. And I didn't know that I didn't think it was a bad thing at first, because I'm like, this is what it takes to run a business. Yeah. Like, you need to be working. Yeah. But you'll get burnt out. Like, your whole life has to be consistent. It's not just the business.
Wow.
So for me, once I started pouring into myself and being consistent at the gym with my friends, it just made my business operate at a new level. Yeah. And for anyone, like, when you learn to be consistent on your own with your business, it's going to pour into all aspects of your life. Like, any successful person you talk to, like you just said, they have everything dialed in. Their gym schedule, how they eat, their diet, when they're hanging out with family, when they're running the business. So it took me a while, but I saw exponential growth the second I started to make sure that all aspects of my life were consistent.
That's so good.
But it's really hard, because I think a huge misconception about sales is that it's, like you said, it's a get rich quick. A lot of people probably don't realize how much work and time spent it's going to take to be successful at like a next level. And for me, coming from the 9 to 5, I knew working for myself was going to take a lot, but it is a lifestyle. Like you said, you don't really clock out. Like, if you're a business owner, you need to be pouring into that business, which means pouring into yourself, though.
Yeah, you need to be open 24/7.
Yeah.
But with boundaries are important. That's why I said, like, my people know, don't call me before 10 a.m. That's Jessie time. I have boundaries set in place, but after 10, I'm available. I've taken care of myself. But I really wanted to dive into what you had just said.
Well, leaning off of what I just said, like, how do you, because the habits that you build, it comes from being consistent, but that's something you have to like literally teach yourself to do. Because I love how you brought up, you have to be intentional with how you're being consistent. What were things you did or things you did differently that got you to where you need to be? Because you have your schedule on lock, you have your lifestyle on lock, you're very consistent all around. And I think that's why you found so much success.
Yeah, I think it's having a schedule, guys. That was the game changer for me. Not waking up like expecting life to just happen and know what to do. It's really using your time wisely. And then when I am working, I'm only doing money making activities. I'm not answering my call with my mom. She already knows. Like, I'm not scrolling through Instagram. Like, I'm focused on the things I need to. I love the analogy of like, we all wear different hats. Like, we have moms out there, we have dads out there, we have sisters, brothers. Like, we all wear different hats. So when I'm at work, I'm wearing my work hat. When I'm with my significant other, I'm wearing my hat with him. It's when you try to balance 10 hats at once, you're not being intentional at all with where you're actually at. And that can really throw off like the dynamic, right? But you weren't always like obviously scheduling has really improved your business and your mindset and everything. Prior to this, like, when you worked at like corporate America, were you into leadership development? Like, what were you doing with like your free time?
Yeah, absolutely not. I was not.
And the reason I asked this question, just so you know, is because for someone that isn't using their free time wisely to get better and they're maybe doing other things, like what things can they start shifting to do?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing you need to ask yourself is like, what is the life you want to live? And then the second thing is, are you willing to do what it takes to have that lifestyle? Like when I was working a 9 to 5, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I had a calling. I knew I was gonna eventually get out of that and work for myself and do big things. But when I was in 9 to 5, like I was just going through the motions. And the biggest switch for me was when the day I decided to go all in on myself, like develop, grow as a person that I need to become. So 9 to 5 time, I was working and then I was partying. Like I moved to Arizona right after college, and it was just a lot of things that probably weren't the best for me. Like I would go through the motions of my 9 to 5, log off, and then I would party, hang out with friends, drink a lot. And it just like, I felt very complacent. Like I went my first whole year in Arizona feeling like I didn't even grow as a person, which is, oh my God, I can't even think about that now. Because as someone who is focused on myself right now and growing my business, the only thing that I chase every single day is growth. And that's a dangerous place to be at, to look back a year later and be like, I haven't really grown as a person. So it wasn't till the end of that year working corporate America where I was like, this isn't the life I want to live. What I did so far is not going to get me there. I need to make changes. So I made that change. And since then, I've just been focused on growth. And you have to ask yourself, like, if you want to live a life where you don't have to work for other people, where you want to make millions, where you want to provide for your family, you need to do the things it takes to get there.
Absolutely.
Because those people they're operating on a whole different level.
Yeah.
So that comes with being consistent.
Yeah.
Like your whole lifestyle has to be consistent, because that's going to build the habits it takes. And it is going to take a lot of sacrifices.
Yeah, because a lot of people are like, actually, like they have that fear of missing out right now. Like I'm in my 20s, like, but I want to be doing what all my friends are doing, waiting for like life to happen. And then they're like 50, 60 and they're like, oh wait, like.
But that's where you kind of have to ask yourself, like, yeah, we're in our 20s. We can be doing what a lot of 20-year-olds are doing, and then 5 years later be in the same position. Like, I'd rather put in the work now and live the life I want to live, not 30 years from now when I have a retirement plan built from working the same job. I want to be financially free when I'm still young and can live the life I want to live.
Yeah.
So for me, some of the sacrifices I had to make to be consistent was, I can't be going out during the week. How am I going to get to the gym in the morning? How am I going to be there for my team? How am I going to wake up every single morning and put in the work I need to better my business if I'm out partying, if I'm out on the weekends or the weekdays and just doing things that aren't going to level me up?
Yeah, you got to sacrifice.
And
at the beginning,
maybe, at least for me, I didn't realize that when you are fully focused on yourself, it can be lonely. Like, and I'm sure you've experienced this, but being consistent and being like very hard on your schedule and making sure that you're sticking to it, that's going to take like missing out on things, cutting out things that aren't going to help you with that.
Yeah. Loneliness is like definitely a part of the process. Just to be like very open, like I was in a 5-year relationship before I got into this business, and I just felt like I was applying myself. I was growing, but my partner at the time wasn't. And, you know, because of that, our relationship ended. And also when I was transitioning, like the people I was hanging out with, like I had lost a lot of friends. So you guys are going to experience loneliness through your journey, and that's okay. Like it's a sign that you are moving forward, like you're growing, and you naturally are around people that are doing the same things as you. So you're naturally going to lose people in your life. And at that time, I would felt like it was the end of the world. I was like, I'm losing everyone. Like, what's happening? But I was actually gaining more friends. I was gaining, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to be consistent if your circle is
not.
Yeah, exactly. If they're not. Yeah. Like if they're not allowing you, or you feel like
aligning with you.
Yeah. If the people you're with aren't aligning with your goals, it's gonna take probably cutting them off. But it really is for the best. Like you can't level up, you can't grow as a person if you have people who are not operating at the same level as you.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings me to, because although it can feel lonely, and I've gone through the same thing where I feel so accomplished with how I'm growing as a person, but I'm like, I don't know how I feel about losing friends along the way. I don't know how I feel about some of the losses, but quickly I realized like the people who are supposed to be in your life, they're going to lift you up. You're going to be able to live your consistent, disciplined lifestyle because they're right there with you. But even though it feels lonely, for me, which has been huge, is having accountability partners to help you stay consistent. Yeah. I'm huge on accountability partners because I have them in all aspects of my life. That's the good. Gym, my business, friendships, like even my friends will help me stay accountable with things I need to. Lean on that, and I want to know how that's helped you.
Yeah, that's so important. Well, yeah, when I first started in business, I had an accountability buddy, and I'm so glad you mentioned this because it was crucial for my career. Like where I was lacking, she was able to help, and vice versa. And if it wasn't for having an accountability partner, I don't think I would have showed up the way that I did. So I think that is super important, having accountability when it comes to gym or like maybe like your diet or business. Like find someone that's kind of where you're at and like lift up with them, like work together, because you guys can like you guys can relate because you're where you guys are both starting from the bottom. But having an accountability partner, like there was days where I was like, I don't want to do it, and because they showed up, I showed up. And you never want to do business alone. You never want to do things like alone. Like always have people with you.
Yeah.
How has it helped you?
Well, it's been everything, because it was through the business that I got good at being consistent through the gym. Like I have always, like when it came to working out and that side of things, I was always consistent for a few months and then drop off, had to restart, drop off, restart. So when I learned to be consistent in the business, which meant sacrifices, showing up, even the days I didn't want to show up, even when I'm down bad and feel mentally exhausted, I need to do the things that are going to build the habits for me, which means showing up every single day. So I carried that. I have a personal trainer for the gym, which has been life-changing for me because he is literally my accountability partner.
Yeah.
Like he is the one who makes me consistent. When I don't want to show up for me, I show up for him. Like I have no choice. So just making sure you have people in your life that hold you accountable, because more so than hard work, because hard work is going to get you where you need to go, but it's only going to get you so far. You need to be consistent. It's the person who's going to outlast you who's going to succeed more. The person who's showing up every single day is going to have more success than the person who's a really hard worker, but they're not consistent in any aspect of their life. They might be consistent for a month and then they might go celebrate from that month, you know? So it's been everything for me.
Yeah, I think like what you're trying to say is like hard work beats talent every day. Like
Yeah.
you can be the most talented person in the room and think that you may not need to apply yourself and work as hard, but you do. You hard work beats talent every single day. Super important.
Especially your first 90 days, which, like you said, is the most crucial time for you to build consistent habits. You're coming in with probably no skill set. And I tell even the people we're training now, like, you need to go all in because it's going to be the consistency that's going to make you fail fast, fail forward. So why is being consistent when you first start, definitely your first 90 days, so crucial to your success?
Yeah, because it's not, the skill sets aren't mastered yet. Like it takes time to develop them. So you want to be as consistent. If I showed up one day, practiced, studied, took a few days off, came back, practiced, studied, nothing's really getting like cemented. It's the repetition. It's doing the same things over and over and over again. Same thing with building muscle in the gym. It takes time. But once you've built that skill set, you can kind of take a few days, you know what I mean? Because it then becomes like muscle memory.
Yeah. And I think a huge part about being consistent is not letting the results or lack of results affect how you show up the next day.
Yeah.
Because you really have to take the emotional aspect out of that. And I remember when I first started into the business where now you were like, until you've done 100 presentations, you're you're nowhere where you need to be. So every day I was like, I don't even care about the sales, the results. I just need to go brick by brick, 1% better every single day. And eventually I'm going to look back and be like, okay, those results and success I have now is literally just the results of me showing up every single day.
And learning. Yeah.
100%.
So important when you're new.
But what I want to talk about is that after you get past that initial 90 days, like even if you've built up consistent habits, is there a time where you can be consistent and then become complacent?
Yeah, I mean, I have a story on that. My first like 2-3 years was absolutely crushing it, and I had gone through some adversity in business. But not only that, I was not focused. That year I had zero goals. I was kind of just living in the motions and traveling way too much. I was getting involved in crowds I should not be getting involved with. And this does happen in business, guys. So that's why it's so important. And I always preach, like, make sure you're doing monthly, quarterly, yearly goals, because it is so easy to lose sight of vision and fall off of the things you were doing that got you where you were. So I was kind of living off of renewals. Like I was really enjoying like the good life. But then when I came back to business, I'm like, whoa, business is not consistent. Things aren't moving. So it plays a huge role at any time. And if you catch yourself veering, you just need to reset, like sit down, figure out your why, break down your goals, get refocused.
Yeah, I love that. When I started, I feel like my first 8 months was really just me building my skill set, building the consistency, learning how to be disciplined with my schedule, with my lifestyle, with everything. And then I feel like I hit a point where I became so complacent because I had the consistency down, but now I'm just going through the motions. And the second you feel yourself not growing anymore, that means you're being consistent without being intentional, because being intentional when you're consistent means you are intentionally trying to get better, like every single day, and growing. So consistency is so powerful because you can just go through the motions and be consistently average. Like you can be consistently doing the wrong things every day. So again, if you just chase like that growth mindset, be consistent, but be intentional with what you're doing. Start to switch things around and know that every time you level up, you're going to have to do things differently. And that's going to take resetting some new consistent habits. Because again, we say it all the time, but what got you here isn't going to get you there. So I think it's so important that you brought up being intentional with it.
Yeah, you have to be super intentional.
And that comes with like even small habits. Like even me, I'm not a morning person. I've literally never been a morning person. And I had to develop the discipline and consistency to get up earlier than I normally do not even because I necessarily have to, but because that's what's going to make me level up. Like, I need to do things I don't want to do. And you really start to build habits just by being consistent.
Absolutely. Yeah, consistency, hard work. So let's kind of recap a little bit here. So when you guys are starting, or even if you guys are already in business, I would audit your schedule, audit what you're doing daily, hone in and make sure that every hour is dedicated to something that is intentional. Again, at the end of the night, you should feel like you've let the gas tank out, like it's empty, like you fully gave it your all that day. So you want to be very, very intentional with scheduling. Hard work, guys. Show up every single day. Give it your all. Again, be very intentional and consistency.
I want to lean a little on patience, though, when it comes to going into sales.
Yeah, let's hit on that.
Just because it's going to be different for everyone. I know your first 90 days is crucial, but being able to be consistent when you're not getting the results you want can be extremely hard for someone who's never even been into a position like that. So for me, how do you, like, I saw results pretty quickly, and it's funny because I remember when I first started and it was like, okay, I'm making some sales. You were like, I kind of want to see you get some no's right now, because you need to know how to push through those times.
100%.
And with sales, you're going to have a lot of days where it's just nothing for you. How you show up and continue to be consistent through those times, that's how you really move up.
Exactly.
And you have to train your mind to do that for sure.
Yeah, I almost like when agents come in and really struggle their first week, because
well, I remember when you were telling me, you're like, you need to go through some struggle, and I did, because it was right after I got like I was getting a bunch of back-to-back sales, and then you said that and I went like 0 for 10, and I was like,
oh no.
Well, not because you, but like that's what I carry through with the people I'm training too. I say the same thing. I'm like, don't come in thinking it's going to be easy, and if you have it easy right away, good. But now you got to get through the hard times, because that's what's going to allow you to really push through and continue to push through month after month.
I genuinely think, like, when you come in and you struggle and you persevere, that's why I love when people get challenged so much at the beginning. I'm like, good, because when you do get that first sale, or when you break through, you are going to be like, oh, I did it. Yeah, I overcame it. But sometimes when you do come in and you do see success super soon, you are just like, you take it for granted. And then any adversity that pops up, you're like, I quit. So again, guys, if you're going through struggles at the beginning, it is so good, because once you hit that breakthrough, it's going to feel so great.
100%.
Be patient. Yeah, and that's just being like super patient. Your time is going to come. It's going to happen.
Yeah, because I don't think it's talked about enough. Like, it's easy to be consistent, but when you're being tested every single day, which in sales, you are being tested every day, and that's how you grow, but it's hard, really, really hard to be consistent during those times. And I love how you talked about scheduling, because if you have your day scheduled and you have your goals and you know, I need to get through A, B, and C before I log off, that's what builds the habits. Yeah. Because consistency is hard, but eventually it just becomes a lifestyle.
Yeah, I want to dive a little bit more into that. Like, know your work times. Like, when I was in the field grinding, door knocking, before I got out of my car, I knew my start time, I knew my end time. Anything that happened in between there, good or bad, I was not leaving until that end time. Because let's say I got the door slammed in my face, or I did get in for a presentation and they told me no, I had felt defeated. There were so many days where I was like, let me just go home. It's 5 o'clock. Let me just quit. And then,
but how do you stay consistent when no one is there to hold your hand? No one's telling you. Because if you're coming from a serving job, a 9 to 5, you have to show up. Like, you have to do that, or you're fired. So, or you don't make money.
It's sticking to your word. If you are going to commit to something, you stick to it. That is going to build your confidence. That is going to show you that even at 5 o'clock, I got a no, but at 8 o'clock, I made a sale. You have to exhaust yourself. You have to give it your all that day and stick to your word. Don't veer from it. Show up 100% every day. Be consistent, and you're going to get the results. I promise you, you will get them much quicker. Don't listen to that negative thing in your head, the devil on your shoulder, like, just go home. You deserve a break. You've been working hard. no, you need to go full force. You have to.
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, whether you're going into sales or going into business for yourself, it's going to come down to asking yourself, what life do you want to live? And then really reflecting on what it's going to take to get there. Because it is going to take sacrifice. It's going to take consistency. It's going to take probably cutting off some things in your life that aren't the best.
Yeah.
But if you can just build the habits of that type of lifestyle, like it's just up from there. It really is.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are good takeaways.
For sure. All things consistency right there.
Awesome, guys. Well, we really hope that this helped you. Again, we just literally want to serve you guys, help you guys. So if you have any questions or want us to dive a little bit deeper on anything we covered today, go ahead and comment. You can DM us. We will personally be responding. We're super excited to connect with you all. And thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.